the ripple effect that comes from leadership and from you saying yes is profound. And I think back to sitting in my son's room, in Jack's room when he was 4 months old, before I'd even launched this company, and feeling this tug on my heart that it was time to do something greater, but feeling so scared, so ill equipped, so unworthy, so much self doubt and questioning of who am I to do this? And yet I pursued it and I did it. And I think about this whole community now where I can look out and see people all around the world who are part of this, where this is changing and influencing their life. And that came from that moment. Welcome to Superhuman Selling. I am excited for this episode. This is going to be fun. It's going to be a little different. It's honestly a topic that when my producer first asked me to speak about today, there was part of me that was a little bit uncomfortable with it because it's a part of me that I feel like is still in so much growth mode. But she's growing. She is growing. And so I am here to tell you um, everything that I have learned so far. Well, not everything, there's not enough time for that, but a lot of what I've learned so far that works in terms of leadership and about what it looks like for you to step into greater leadership, even if you feel uncomfortable with it. I will also give the disclaimer as I hit record. This is probably the latest podcast episodes I've ever recorded, at least in terms of when I'm recording it. So it's about 8 p.m. My time. This is normally like we're getting our kids down for bed. It is Sunday night. We just got home from an anniversary party for my in-laws, their 45th anniversary, which that's some kind of leadership. You got to be leading yourself. You got to be working well with each other to be able to do that. And I had committed to getting this podcast recorded before the end of the day. And so here we are. So you may hear some noises of little ones getting ready for bed in the background. And if you do, that's just what it is in my household tonight. But I'm okay with that. And I know that you are too if you're here listening to the show. So let's talk about leadership. Let's talk about I love my producer called this phrase like the consultant era. And at first I was like, what is that? What does that mean? Like what is that? But here's what it's really fun. Like there's been a shift in our company as we have rolled out we're doing a consultant certification for the second year in a row now. And it's been really, really powerful and it is a whole group of a lot of women and some men as well, some really great men stepping into far greater leadership in their lives. And it came on the tail of me deciding to step into greater leadership, even though it felt really uncomfortable. So I'm going to talk to you about that tonight as I record this. And I'll share just some tips, some takeaways for how, like, what shifted for me that I hope will empower you to feel more confident leading in your business or your life in whatever way you're feeling called to do, on a greater scale. So if you're not familiar with maybe the past year of my life, I'll just share. Well, there's been a lot. What we're going to talk about tonight is a strategic decision. Strategic isn't the right word, just like a key, heart led yet uncomfortable decision that I made about a year ago to really expand in terms of how my business model is structured and in terms of what we're doing here on the planet. And so, gosh, maybe definitely over a year, but less than a year and a half. So maybe 15 months ago or so, I remember I was in a trip. We were on a trip. We were in our RV. It was like this really beautiful, kind of rare break that we were getting to take as a family. I say rare. We used to have literally, we would just go travel work whenever because Jason wasn't in medical school yet. Now that he's in medical school, our schedule is a little bit different than it used to be. So we were on what felt like a rare break, and we were down in North Carolina. We were in our RV, and I was in like a really great revenue month. Like lots of things just clicking, coming off the heels of some really big speaking engagements and some things that felt like just kind of like mountaintop moments in my life. And I remember just being there and I think we were by the beach in North Carolina and there were all these opportunities coming in and I felt like I was at a crossroads. And the crossroads was, oh my gosh, like I can keep doing what I'm doing. And I can keep things kind of slim, you know, lean, mean in terms of team and in terms of our offerings. But I was also noticing that I was feeling really capped and maxed in terms of what I was able to personally handle myself in the business. And I knew that that path of keeping things kind of as they were, as appealing as it was in many ways, would mean that I was kind of be capped in terms of growth and in terms of what I could do for impact. It was definitely my comfort zone. Simultaneously, there was this part of me that every time I would watch a Bob Proctor video of him speaking in a ballroom to a group of his consultants would feel so emotional, and I would feel something on my heart, like, if I removed the fear around stepping up and leading in a greater way, this is what I would want to do. I would wanna have that level of impact. I would want to empower other people, other women, other leaders to go out and really create incredible businesses and lives based off of this material. And I would want to certify them and I would want to, I'd want to build this up bigger than it has been in the past. And yet that choice really challenged every part of my self concept. I still, even now when I talk about it, I can still feel some of the discomfort in my body of like, "Ooh, it was the stretchier choice." But there was a calling, and there has continued to be a calling on my soul to lead in a bigger way, both in my company and on the planet. And it is definitely the more uncomfortable path because it requires greater responsibility. It requires more people who are kind of counting on you. It requires a higher level of leadership and service in my own life. And yet I've chosen to go this path because, and this was the decision I made last year, I knew that if I looked back at the end of my life, I would want to be able to look back and say, I played full out and I went for it full out. And I did the things that, even if they were really uncomfortable, even if they challenged me for a minute or for a season or for even longer, that they would be the things that I could look back and say, like, I went for it. I'm really glad I went for it. And I saw and I found out. And so I remember when I was making this choice, because I knew that if I wanted to, one of the big things that was on my heart was to launch our consultant certification. And I knew that if I was going to do that, that looked like a different team than I had at the time. That looked like, again, a higher level leadership. That looked like letting more people in. That looked like just a lot more growth. And being at that crossroads, I had several weeks of full body, like, visceral reaction, like, it's illness, symptoms of illness as I was at this crossroads and really feeling like, "Oh, it feels more comfortable to stay here, and yet there's part of my soul that's calling me here." And so, made the choice. I said, "Okay, I know that at its core, fear is the thing that's really holding me back from this. And so if I'm going to release that and allow myself to grow and to scale, but to do it my own way. And I think this is really important too. And I want to talk about this. I'll make a mental note to kind of weave this in as we talk throughout the episode to do it in my own way. Because I think we do get to do things differently, especially for those of us who are moms, wives, partners. Like, we have to be so clear on what we really want versus what we don't, and not doing things just because it's how we've seen somebody else build it or lead it. But I said, this is good. I'm going to take the path of expansion. I'm going to take the path that's less comfortable. That will not surprise you if you've listened to the show or if you're part of my community or part of my audience for any amount of time, and went for it. And coming up now on over a year of having done that, launched our first certification. We're actively enrolling right now for our second cohort, which kicks off fall of 2025. If you're listening to this in real time, there has been so much growth, so much change in our company. I mean, if you look at it, it's like almost entirely different team, huge expansion in a lot of ways. And everything that led up to this, and everyone who led up to this was absolutely beautiful and wonderful. And Like the team I had leading up to this, phenomenal. The structures we had, really good for what we needed at the time. But to be able to get us to where we're going next, there's been a lot of change. And I want to share about how my self concept has shifted, how I continue to say yes to greater leadership, and some of the mindset shifts behind that too, so that you can really own what it looks like for you to lead in all areas of your life most powerfully. And so my goal is, by the end of this episode, that hopefully you'll see how you saying yes to greater leadership, like even before you're totally feeling ready, can open up some pretty big doors for you to new opportunities, for deeper client impact, and also for greater legacy and confidence in your life. All right. So when I say consultant era, and again, my producer Lauren, she came up with this phrase, and I thought this was kind of fun. But to me, it's not just about being a solo consultant, but it's also about, all right, how are you stepping up into leadership in different areas of your life? I think about one of our 10K club members and actually a dear friend of mine who has absolutely exploded her business in the past year. I guess like 11 months now that she's been in the program, and went from, I think, max maybe an $8,000 month at one point before she had enrolled. I know there had been months of like 0 or $500. She's in marketing, to having a 20K plus month. A few months ago, she's expanding, she's growing. She was at my house the week before last, and I was like, "You need an assistant. Like, you've got to have an assistant to help you manage all the business you're getting." And it's been a shift in self-concept for her to say, "I'm available to lead my company at a bigger scale." That doesn't necessarily mean you need to take on and hire a lot of people, but you are gonna need more support. You are gonna need more people to help support you being in your zone of genius. But to me, it's about an identity shift, and it's about a willingness to step up and be the fullest expression of you, including what does that leadership capacity and potential look like for you. So this is not about needing to have all the answers. It's certainly not about needing to be perfect before you step up. It's about following that calling on your heart that's telling you there's something greater for me. I even think about, I interviewed Laura Grabavoy, who's my right hand in the company. I interviewed her a few episodes ago about her decision to come full time into my company, and how she left a multiple six-figure corporate job to come do this. And watching her make that decision, we were on a beach walk one morning while she was here visiting me, watching her make that decision in the faith and knowing that she is meant to lead in this way in her life at this point versus the way she was previously, was so powerful and so beautiful. And so for you, the first thing I would invite you to just really think about with this is, in what ways are you being called to lead that maybe you're hesitating, or maybe you're shrinking, or maybe you're not feeling comfortable? It could be a true leadership role, right? And the normal definition of the word, whether that's you're applying for a greater management role in your company, or you're launching your own business. But it could also be, you know what, I want to be way more visible on social media. I want to launch a podcast, which so many members of our community are doing right now. I want to launch my own certification program in what I'm doing. One of my good girlfriends is doing that right now in her company in fashion styling, and it's amazing. I want to lead more powerfully in my home for my kids. Like, that's a decision that I make for myself again and again and again, because I used to not realize the power of the influence of my energy. And I really didn't for a long time. I didn't realize what a big influence I was. And that may sound crazy to say out loud, but I think it's just, it wasn't my perception. And now that I realize that the influence that I hold in our home and how my energy matters, like, I'm always calling myself to lead in a higher level in that way. So in what areas or area are you feeling called? Or if you were to be honest with yourself, you would say, you know what? If I really trusted myself, like if I valued myself fully, completely, I would lead in this way. I would show up in this way. So thinking about that, because we are all leading others, and you know this, right? The most important person is who you're leading, is you're leading yourself. And that, I think, is really, really key. And so we'll kind of weave that in today as we talk through the episode. But You got to be able to lead yourself really, really well, which means following through on what you say you're going to do, which means being willing to get radically uncomfortable when it's time, which means showing up as the version of you who has what you want, who has what's written down in your on whether it's on your goal card or in your journal. Being willing to lead yourself gives you the integrity to be able to lead others powerfully as well. And that piece is really, really important. So I think that one of the things that was holding me back from wanting to step into greater leadership was this feeling of responsibility and a feeling of needing to be perfect with it. Not maybe perfect, but like it really felt like a lot of responsibility to me before I stepped up in this way. And I had a lot of limiting beliefs and fear about, oh my gosh, everyone else is going to be relying on me. Everyone else is going to be looking to me. They're going to need me to know what to do. And so the way that I have learned to think about this is it has required a more selfless energy to say, "Okay, there is a big part of me who feels way more comfortable just creating content in her cocoon, in her bubble, doing her thing, being the voice, being the face, doing that." That is still a big part of my job, and, um to be willing and open to bringing on team support, putting systems into place to help us at the level that I'm feeling called for us to scale and grow has really been more about getting into service and getting out of my own way and getting out of what I might personally feel more comfortable with in order to be available to serve at a greater level, if that makes sense. So leadership is about service, not perfection. All right. So it's certainly not about needing to know all the answers. It's not about controlling. And that's something that I've gotten to really work on in myself because I honestly have the most, like, as I record this right now, I have the most phenomenal team. They are so talented. And myself and everyone on the planet, we all make mistakes sometimes. That's just human nature. I've done it in my business. My team has done it in my business. Like it just happens. And so the part of me who wants to control every result and who wants everything to be perfect, um, I have gotten to work with her. And there's a lot of inner child work involved in this, to be honest. At least there has been for me of saying, okay, what part of me needs everything to be perfect to feel safe? What part of me doesn't feel worthy of being in a greater spotlight? What part of me doesn't feel like she can lead others powerfully? So there's been a lot of inner work around this, but it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. And just remembering that leadership, it's not about needing to control every part of the outcome. It is about guiding. It's about being able to share your vision and help others tie their vision into that as well. So, really clearly articulating your vision and others can see themselves in that. By the way, this is part of sales as well. Not only is it leadership within your company, but it's also sales. And I think that vulnerability and growth are really a huge part of leadership as well. And that's part of why I am very willing to record this episode and say, I certainly don't have all the answers. I'm certainly still figuring out because I'm leading in a bigger way than I've ever led before in my company and in my life. We've got a lot of people helping support us right now, whether it's personally, whether it's professionally. I've probably got the biggest team I've ever had before too, and they are and it's wonderful, right? And it's wonderful, and I'm figuring out all of the parts of how to lead and um how to cast vision at that level. And so I will be very vulnerable. I'll share with my team, like, hey, this is something I've never done before. Let's figure it out together. I'm sharing with you as I record this episode. There's a lot of things I'm doing that I've never done before that I'm figuring out as I go. But I think that that vulnerability and growth are really important. Not that you need to tell people everything that you personally are. I don't use the word struggle. I don't like the word struggle, but everything that you personally are growing through, I don't think that's necessarily appropriate. I think you can have some very close confidence to help with certain things like that. But you can be vulnerable in that, whew, I don't know. Like, let's figure this out together. Let's see. What do you think? Right? Really expecting that you're going to have people who are so highly qualified and better than you in a lot of areas to come in and help support you. I even think about one of my team members. Um, Brandon, as I lead this, as I record, as I lead this, wow, you can tell the mode I'm in. As I record this, he's our men's mastermind coach, and he has been building out behind the scenes. In fact, we're launching it this week as I record it. This absolutely amazing membership. And what he has done, and also one of our other team members, Thomas, who heads up everything for us with funnels and IT, and he is phenomenal, like one of the most brilliant minds when it comes to online marketing. It's really what these two gentlemen have done together to build this out has been, it's blown me away. And there was a time in my business, probably just a couple years ago, where like I would have been the one building that whole thing out and figuring out the whole structure. Now they slack me and they're like, "Hey, can you take a look at this? It's about ready." And it's absolutely incredible. So I say all of that to say you get to be surrounded by people who can take work off of your plate, who have an amazing skill set in their areas of expertise, and you also can be real with them and say, "Hey, we're doing this new together. Like, let's figure this out together." And asking them for their goals, asking them for their input, asking them for their expertise is really, really important. So let's talk about leadership skills for a minute of what that looks like. One of the biggest things that I want to say with this, and probably the most important, is it really starts with how are you willing to lead yourself and do you walk your talk? I think this is really big. And this is something that I can say is 100% true for every member of our team at this point, that every single person on my team lives this work. They live, breathe, embody this work. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't be a fit. Like, it doesn't matter how technically talented they are with their skill set. If they are not doing this work day in and day out, then there's going to be an energetic mismatch. And so, for you as a leader, whether you're a consultant, whether you're a leader, maybe you're one of our consultants, it doesn't matter. But the most important thing is how are you leading yourself every single day and committing to your own transformation. So, my experience has been that when you're really in this, which I'm guessing you are, or you're wanting to be if you're listening to this episode, but when you're really in this, and in it means you're going for the very best in life, you're expanding, you're going for bigger goals, you are claiming it all for yourself, motherhood, life, business, fatherhood, perhaps for those of you dads out there, but when you're claiming all the best for yourself, then you are going to be required and called on to consistently grow and to consistently evolve and to consistently transform. And so the woman I was this time last year is not the same woman as who I am right now. And I have learned so much in the past year about team leadership, um, P&L. I mean, gosh, like not the sexiest things by any sake of imagination. I've also had some amazing, fun, exciting areas that I've grown in, i.e., we are launching a magazine right now, and I'm beyond excited for that because that's fulfilling pretty much a childhood dream of mine. So there's been so much beautiful growth, but the woman who is recording this podcast today, who is doing it as now the CEO of a company that's doing multi-millions in sales per year, a mom now of 3 kids, 5 and under versus 2, the editor-in-chief of our new magazine that's launching, and a lot of other things. Um, I am a very different woman than I was a year ago before these things had happened. And so I personally, every single day, do the work and show up. And in the morning, I'm working on myself. I'm working on, okay, what limiting beliefs are showing up right now in relation to my goals. I'm working on connecting energetically with the feeling state of what it is that I want to experience. I'm getting clear on my vision. I'm thinking of how I can show up better for myself and for others today. And so, you being in integrity with yourself, you leading yourself, you saying yes to your vision and to your dreams. That's part of why I'm recording this podcast for you right now. Now it's 8:17 at night my time because I said I was going to do it and because I committed that. And is this normally the time? Because I'm an early bird. Is this normally the time I'm getting ready for bed? Yes. But here we are and we're getting it done. And that's because to me, being able to count on myself and rely on myself is really, really important. And it's a big piece of leadership as well. So, are you personally committed to your own transformation because that is what will speak to people almost more than anything who you're leading. It's something it's an energy you put out. It's an essence you put out where people see you growing. It's like the impression of increase in the science of getting rich. People will see you growing, and this can be your clients, your children, your team, your social media followers, and they'll say, "I don't know what you're doing, but I want to be a part of it." I even think about this morning. I went for an interval run, and I brought along my 5-year-old son, Jack. So I'm doing this really fun workout program that's like a postpartum, um, get back into not back into shape. That's not really what I mean, but just like get, you know, work on the mom bod. We're getting the mom bod in the best shape that she could possibly be in right now. So that's what we're doing. And Ashley Keller is the personal trainer who leads it. So look her up if you are interested. It's been a phenomenal program. But anyway, so today was hill sprints. Whew. Does any part of me want to do sprints up a hill? Absolutely not. Like running is probably one of my least favorite workouts, but when I do it, I feel good. I feel empowered. I feel strong. I feel like I can conquer the world. And so today's workout was some sprint repeats up a hill. And I brought my 5-year-old to come do them with me. And I could tell that he was excited. It was like he knew that I was pushing myself, and that was encouraging him to also push himself, and he did phenomenally. There was one time where he wanted to give up. I was like, "All right, buddy, you stay on the side, you watch me." I had him safely situated off the side of the road, away from the cars. Then I went and I did one hill sprint on my own. And when I came to the top of the hill, he was like, "Mommy, I want to go with you. I want to do it with you." And so just know that there are people who are watching you. There are people who are seeing how you show up for yourself. There are people who are seeing, are you in it or are you not? Like, are you really doing it or are you just talking about it? And that energy of being in it and going for it is what is going to light up and inspire other people to come alongside you and to work with you, be led by you, be mentored by you, be coached by you, be trained by you. It's that energy that you are in it as well. And so one of the things that I have seen and I parts of me I feel like maybe haven't even fully processed this at a certain level. So I think I'm going to spend some time just like appreciating this as I record this here and also thinking about it afterwards. Um the ripple effect that comes from leadership and from you saying yes is profound. And I think about it in our own community right now. So we now have a global community of primarily women, but again, a lot of great men as well, who are changing the world through this work. They're starting with changing themselves by saying yes to greater abundance, yes to living the fullest potential of themselves, yes to finding a different way to work that's maybe different than the mainstream of you've got to hustle and grind and push, but that actually allows them to quantum leap, that involves concepts of spirituality, manifestation, neuroscience, and cutting edge business and sales strategy. Like this community that has kind of sprung up around this work. We call them the She Sells and Superhuman Selling communities. This community is phenomenal and is a testament to the ripple effect of this work. And whew, I think back to sitting in my son's room, in Jack's room when he was 4 months old, before I had even launched this company, and feeling this tug on my heart that it was time to do something greater, but feeling so scared, so ill equipped, so unworthy, so much self doubt and questioning of who am I to do this? And yet I pursued it and I did it. And I think about this whole community now where I can look out and see people all around the world who are part of this, where this is changing and influencing their life. And that came from that moment, and it was this moment in this really dimly lit room, nursing him late night, like, no one to come say, "Yeah, you're meant to do this." No one to come say, "Yeah, that's a good idea." It had to be a following my own inner knowing and just trusting that there was something that was gonna come from me saying yes to this. That ripple effect is huge, and I share that because there is a ripple effect waiting for you right now that you cannot see the full thing. And it is going to require you to get uncomfortable. It is going to require you to push the limits of your old self concept. It is going to require you to see yourself differently, to be available, to be vulnerable, to be available to have people look to you for feedback or for advice. But that ripple effect and the lives that are going to be changed from you doing that and you following that is immense, and you can't see it all right now. So, if nothing else, please use this episode to encourage you to step up in the leadership and in the service that you're feeling called to step up in. Okay. So, in closing, I want to encourage you with a couple different things. One, I want to encourage you to think about and tune into and journal on and reflect on, in what way or ways am I being called to step into greater leadership right now in my life, in my business? And if I wasn't afraid, what would I do? What would it look like? So that's number one. But then I want to invite you to actually take action on that. So whether that looks like, bringing on that new hire, whether that looks like going for the role in your corporate job that you really want to go for, that you would do if you took self doubt out of it. Maybe it looks like for you launching a business or launching a company. Maybe it looks like restructuring your company or your team to give you more support. But say yes and do something actionable this week towards stepping into greater leadership. And I want you to share what it is on social and tag me. I'm at Elyse Archer. I want to see it. I want to celebrate it with you. I also want to invite you to share this episode. If this has spoken to you, I want to thank you in advance for sharing this on your favorite podcast player, whether it's Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or just on social media. Please help us get the word out about this message. I think this is really transformational, life changing work. It's important and it matters. And finally, I want to also let you know that if this is speaking to you and you're listening in real time, which as I record this, it's end of August of 2025. If you're listening to this in real time, we currently have a few spots left in our 2025-2026 consultant certification. And so if you want to learn more about that, you can go to sevenfigurecoaching.elisearcher.com to get a free training on it. You can learn all about it there. And that is an opportunity for those of you who are in this community, in this work, who want to make great money as a coach or consultant. Maybe you already are one and you want to add in an additional revenue stream, or you want to really build up your current revenue. Maybe you're not. A lot of our consultants who are coming in this year, a good number of them are already in the space, but I would say maybe equally half don't have background in this space yet. And maybe they're in corporate or they're doing something else, but they want to add an additional revenue stream. They want to create options and financial freedom for themselves. And they want to change lives and they love this material and they love this work and they feel a calling on their heart to be able to support and give back and help other people. And a lot of them naturally might be people who other people go to for advice or for mentorship. And they're like, you know what? Maybe I am actually meant to do this. Maybe I am meant to serve others in this way. Maybe I'm meant to be a coach. Maybe I'm meant to be a consultant, a thought leader, a trainer, a speaker. And so you can go to sevenfigurecoaching.elisearcher.com to learn more about the consultant certification. And you can also send me a DM. I'm at Elyse Archer. Happy to chat about it and connect for a call and talk more about what it is that you're looking for and see if this could be a good fit. All right, my friend, wherever this landed with you, I just want to encourage you that if you're listening, you are on a path of greater leadership. You are being called to greater service, greater visibility, and it takes believing in yourself first and knowing that you are safe as you step into greater visibility. You are secure, you are worthy. You're going to have the right resources when you need them as well. That is part of abundance. You're going to be taken care of on this journey and that your message, your voice, and your impact matters. So, as we close, I want to remind you to trust yourself on your path to success. Your desires are green lights, leading you and everyone around you to a brighter future. I'll see you on our next episode.